The Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I am Kris Randazzo and joining me tonight is Inexplicable Dogman, Dan Ryan.
Just why? Fang Brownie, I think is his name.
I don't know. Who gave that dog sunglasses? The guns? Sure, whatever. Who gave him the sunglasses?
Course. The sunglasses is just a bridge too far.
We continue with our summer series tonight, attacking the games that bested us during our previous Pete-a-thon charity streams. Today we'll be discussing the Sega Genesis classic Contra Hardcore. How do we feel about it now that we've got a rewind button on our side? I hope you like 16-bit special effects, because Konami sure did, and the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now. Hello, everyone. It is episode 423. It's the week of August 12th, 2022, and we have breaking news, Mr. Dan.
We do. This is wild.
This is so cool. This is the coolest thing that I could have imagined. Somebody has discovered a hidden two-player mode in Super Punch-Out for Super Nintendo.
28 years after the release, I think?
I think so. I am blown away. I love it when this kind of stuff happens, when somebody discovers a weird new thing in an old game, but this just happens to be one of my all-time favorite games, and it freaking works. It's so crazy. So you have to, like, on the player 2 controller, you hold two buttons, and on the title screen, and then it'll open up a different main menu where you can basically do a match against any fighter in the game. Just whichever one you choose. It's like a practice round, basically. So you don't have to play through it over and over and over again. You can just practice against each individual boxer. That alone is awesome. But after you choose a boxer, you hold down two other buttons on controller 2, and then hit start. And then the player 2 controller controls the other freaking boxer. Which is so
wild.
Awesome. I played against John, and holy crap, is it unfair, because he beat the snot out of me.
Of course he did.
Because I know Super Punch-Out, but I know the game. It's, I know its patterns. I know how to react to things. But when a person's controlling the other player, it's
when a person's just chucking lightning uppercuts at you the whole time, it's like,
because you can do that. You can do it over and over again. You don't have to follow any sort of set pattern or anything. I could not beat him as Sandman. I wound up taking him down with most of the characters eventually. Like, he would beat me like 2 rounds, then eventually I'd kind of get the hang of it and like just kind of keep my wits about me. But Sandman, I couldn't beat, because he's got these punches that you just can't do anything about. Like,
no, if you don't know what the pattern is, there's no way to it's too fast.
Well, there's this one punch that he does that kind of like stays there and hits twice if you get hit by it.
Yeah.
You can block it, which is, the best way to get past it is if you block it, and he'll only ever throw it twice. But you can keep throwing that punch over and over and over and over and over again, and if you get hit by it once, as long as you're fast enough mashing the button, you actually can't get out of it. It's an infinite combo. So,
shit.
It is legitimately broken on a bunch of characters, because it's like, of course you can't do that. It would be impossible for you to be able to just do that over and over again, and the game would be nigh unbeatable.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun. I didn't love the multiplayer mode in Punch-Out Wii. It's the only thing I didn't like about Punch-Out for Wii.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought the multiplayer mode was fine, but I always wanted to know what it would have been like to actually play as the other boxers. And it's like, they work a little bit differently than even when you're fighting against them. Like, for example, with Sandman, you know how he does that triple punch. He kind of like does a little foot shuffle before that. There's no foot shuffle. If you press the button he'll just launch into it immediately.
Oof.
So there's no warning at all. It's ridiculous. He played his bear hugger and completely demolished me, because
that tracks.
The double punch, like, he's the second character in the game. He's easy as pie. But that overhead double punch, it comes out lightning fast, and like you got to know to be able to dodge to duck that one. You can't dodge left or right. So he kept smacking me with that one. I was like, man, I just can't. I never know when he's going to do it. So it just kind of just pops right up. I eventually beat him with Nick Bruiser. The Nick Bruiser was actually kind of easy because I couldn't figure out how to do the really fast punches he does right in the beginning of his match. And all the rest of that stuff, I had to fight that character so many times to figure out how to beat him that everything that he could throw at me, I could counter, except that counter move where he breaks, he nullifies one of your hands. You can do that. Anytime you block a punch, if you press B while you're blocking the punch, he'll counterattack and knock one of Max's hands out, which is just freaking cool. Oh, I don't know why this was a secret.
Because it's broken?
Yeah, but it's super fun. And not only that, but like it seemed like it was intended to be like a pretty serious secret of like figuring out how to I don't know, like maybe a debug thing or something like that, because you have to enter the code every single time. So like you can't if you beat a character, whenever that match is over, it goes back to the title screen. So you have to do both codes to get back into a 2-player mode. You can't just continue 2 players, which is what makes me think that this was not intended to be known, but at the same time, like, also the menu has no music, like the screen where you're picking all the characters out, so that kind of also makes me think this was really intended to be a kept secret, but boy, oh boy, what a fun day that was.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. And, like, I posted in the Discord in all caps, what else aren't they telling us? But, like, for real, it just makes you wonder how much stuff is still hidden in all of, like, not just games, but, like, movies and, like, Easter eggs and stuff. Like, what is out there that people haven't found? Like, I know, who is it? Ed Boon has said that there's still stuff in, like, the first couple of Mortal Kombat games that people haven't found. Which is wild.
It is freaking wild. But, like, then again, how do you find this kind of stuff? Like, I wish that this mode was in the NES version. I would love to try that out. But, yeah, I mean, I have no idea how you find this kind of stuff. But then again, I used to mess around with games all the time. Anytime I would used to show people the, get fireballs when you're a little trick in Super Mario Bros. And people would be like, how the heck did you figure that out? I'm like, I don't know. I'm a dork.
I just did. I figured it out. That's how this shit happens. Like, I don't know, I figured it out.
I was trying to be dramatic and get the axe at the last possible second, and lo and behold, something really weird happened.
And then I wanted to see if I could do it again. And then it becomes a thing, and then I figure out how to do it, and then I show off to people, and they're like, yeah, that's cool. It doesn't go much further than that.
My kids thought it was really cool.
My kids, I'm a fucking rock star. To a 10-year-old, I'm huge. You tell him, Hook. Anyway, that's so fucking cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. So what you been up to?
Oh, nothing much. Doing some work around the house. Finally, I broke down and mowed lawn today. I haven't mowed in a long time. And it didn't look bad because we haven't had a ton of rain. So it didn't grow all that much, but it was getting to a point where it was like, all right, fine. You gotta go do that. So I went out and did that today. And I don't know what it is about this summer in particular, but the heat has really, really sapped me of any desire to do anything. It has been so oppressively hot this summer. And, like, I used to live in Florida. I used to live in Texas. And, like, granted, that was 10 years ago. I understand that, but I don't know how much further north I have to go. I don't know, like, am I crazy?
No,
is it not more oppressive this year than it has been?
It's definitely worse than this year than it was the last couple of years, but I remember summers like this when I was younger. The last couple of years, I actually remember thinking, like, waiting for that going outside and then it immediately hitting you like, oh God, I don't want to be here, because that used to happen to me. And then it hadn't happened for the last couple of years. This year, that definitely happens where I open up the door and I'm like, nope, I don't.
Nope.
I do not want. No, thank
and
you.
Like, and it used to be, like, even when we were kids, though, it used to be like that for a week, 2, maybe. You know, like, it was hot, but it wasn't that, like, walking into an oven kind of hot that it has been, I feel like, since the beginning of July. I feel like it's been like that every fucking day.
That I can attest to. It wouldn't surprise me, what with, you know, the world being what it is, but...
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, it's... Oh, man. It's just been... So, like, I don't know. I went out and finally mowed the fucking lawn today. I felt like I wanted to die when I was done. I was like, this is just awful. I'm not edging, not weed whacking. I mowed the lawn. That is good enough. I have to go to the store. I have to get some things for dinner. I'm buying myself a present when I go, because I did work around the house today. Like, I had to clean out. I didn't have to. Like, I cleaned out Tiff's car and all that. So, like, I bought myself Doc Brown, the figure, because it's awesome, and I had to have it. And then, like, really, I've just been... I've been grinding away at the show this last week, because it's the end of the All-Star program, so I was trying to... just advance along the experience path. They did a really nice thing this year. Whereas last year, like, you could max out on the program. You know, like, you would get to 450,000 experience points for that particular month's program, that innings program, and they used to go about a month. And then that was it. You couldn't gain any additional rewards. There was really nothing else to do. This year, they've set the experience cap at like 1 million XP for certain events, and like that's what it is currently. I'm like, fuck, there's no way I'm getting close to that. And there were people who certainly have like, man, it's only 1 million XP. There's nothing else to do in this game. It's like, how the fuck? How do you have that much time? Like, legitimately, how do you have that much time to be at 1 million experience points and have time to like complain about there not being anything else to do? That's fucking wild to me. So I think I grinded to somewhere like 500,000, and I was like, oh man, I can't fucking grind this anymore. Like, it's just, I'll put it down for a couple of days and then, you know, pick it up when the new thing comes out. I've been working my way through a couple things in Puzzle and Dragons. I posted a clear team today. Only Rumplemans cares. Nobody else cares, but it's fine. There's a dungeon in Japan. They've done, as the game has gotten longer in the tooth, as Puzzle and Dragons now 10 years old, they've started releasing dungeons every now and again that are supposed to be like really hard the first time you go through them, and to match the level of complexity, you get 85 magic stones the first time you clear, which is awesome. They just released a new one 3 weeks ago, something like that, in Japan, called Unknown Nova. And what this particular dungeon does, which is a mechanic that I hope they don't do a lot of, is it's a thing called super gravity. So basically your entire team does 50% of the damage that it would normally do. And it's like, okay, like now that we have characters that can easily hit with very little effort 4 billion points of damage, in an effort to not just make the bosses in the dungeons have higher and higher hit point thresholds, they came up with this mechanic. All right, cool. Check that out. Somebody in Japan figured out a way to completely cheese that dungeon. Like, just super easy, mindless way to clear it. As long as you have a couple of certain cards and 250,000 hit points, you win. Like, there's basically no way to fuck it up. So I finally put that team together, got my 85 magic stones, because the Marvel collab is coming back to Puzzle and Dragons this coming Monday. I'm very, very excited about that. They announced that Dr. Doom and Cyclops are going to be 2 of the 5 new cards that they're adding. And I don't much care for Cyclops, never have. I love Dr. Doom, though. I'm hoping his card's awesome. I'm really hoping there's a Moon Knight in there so that it has to come to North America and Evan has to play it. It's really what I want. Because he has to. Like, he would have to play.
Contractually obligated.
Right? I mean, he just is. And then other than that, like, we really... I finished up Stray this past week. Oh. And, man, I don't know, dude. Like, it's pretty fucking high up there on the list.
Well, I mean, God of War's not this year anymore, right? Did that get delayed, or was that
no? It's November.
Right.
I mean, so that definitely is number one. I mean, it's gonna have to be like it's gonna have to misstep a lot to like not be number one for me. But I don't know, like Death's Door or Stray or Trek to Yomi. I picked that up on sale. I'm gonna start that probably tomorrow. Unpacking, like there's a lot of really cool like smaller indie games that have been really, really good this year. Stray was absolutely incredible. It falls into I don't know how much you spend how much time you spend in the cyberpunk world, and not the world of the video game cyberpunk, but just that genre of fiction in general. But for some reason, a lot of cyberpunk ends up vaguely Asian a lot of the time. Which is, I don't know if that goes back to like Neil Stephenson's like novels, like Snow Crash and shit like that. But it's vaguely Asian, right? And there's a lot of that in Stray where you're playing through this and it's like, this story could be taking place like literally anywhere. And the robots are wearing like fucking kimonos and shit. It's just weird. It's this weird, vaguely Asian thing that cyberpunk apocalyptic stuff tends to lean into. Beyond all that, there's so much to do in that game. Like, I didn't even do all of the little bits of it, because it just got to a point where I was like, all right, like, I am enjoying my time with this game. There is cool stuff I could do to go help out some of these other robots and little fetch quests and stuff, but I do just want to finish the game now. So making your way through that, there's a lot of interesting little platforming bits, some cool like puzzles that you have to solve. Just really, really well made. And the ending is kind of a bummer, but, you know, sort of hopeful at the same time. Like, it's somewhat predictable if you've played or watched or read sci-fi type stuff. You know, as you go through the game, there's some reveals that happen where you're like, okay, I see where this is going. And indeed it goes there. And that's okay. You know, like the journey to get there is definitely worth it. And it's just so fucking charming. It's so charming. I couldn't stop scratching on everything I could scratch on.
Well, I believe I will get a chance to play it. I lent my PS4 to my friend Greg, who is just been dying to play the game, but he only had an Xbox. It's like, well, just borrow my PS4. I don't use it very often, so borrow my PS4 and get Stray. Go nuts. And so he borrowed it, and he bought Stray, and when he gets it back, it'll still be on the system, so
that's
I'll
awesome.
be able to play it when he gets it back. So that's pretty fun.
I mean, I put about a total of 5 hours into the game, and that's with doing a bunch of side quests and stuff like that. Like, if you just go straight through and try to complete the story, you're looking at like 3.5 to 4 hours. Like, it's really not a very long time commitment, and just so worth it. So absolutely worth it. It just fucking great. It was fucking great. Well, I'm very excited for you to play it.
I'm pretty excited to play it myself. I'm kind of jazzed about it. I haven't played anything on my PS4 in a while, and I've been spending a bunch of time with my Xbox, so I'm looking forward to giving it a go. Is it safe to play around the kids?
Oh, for sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I mean, there will be times where there's a couple sections where little enemies in the world will attack you, and you might die.
That's fine.
You know, so like if they don't want to see that, but like you just tell them it's cool. Cat has 9 lives, and then you just kind of move on.
They understand death in video games. They're totally fine with it.
Yeah, it's just the cat looks pretty real. There's a meow button, so like, it's one of those things where I could see littler kids getting maybe upset by it, but there's enough charm to want to return to. The only other thing we did, I think, trying to remember, other than Contra Hardcore, which we'll talk about later, was a game I had picked up a while ago and just never got around to really spending any time with, and it was on super duper sale. But it was called Burly Men at Sea. You remember anything about this game?
No, but I like the name.
It's this little short little game. I think if you go down, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure game where there's really no way to do it wrong. There's just different paths that you can go down. And it's just this really quirky indie narrative based kind of thing. But I think if you were to do everything and go back and get all the endings, you would spend maybe an hour and a half doing like everything. But Tiff and I were watching some YouTube list on, I forget what brought it up, but somebody was talking about like indie games on a YouTube channel, and they were like, if you've never played Burly Men at Sea, you should really check it out. And I was like, oh shit, we have that. She was like, all right, fuck it, put it on. So put that on and played through it a couple of different times, and it's just really interesting and charming. And you've got, it's all of the sound effects in the game, and this is what I thought was like the most charming part of it. All of the sound effects in the game are done with human mouth sounds, right? So when you're sailing on your ship, like, you can just in your mind so clearly picture the person in the sound booth going up to the microphone and going like as the wind is blowing around, and like as they're like chopping a piece of wood, it's like whack, whack, whack. Like, it's really weird and quirky and really silly, but really, really fun. And it goes on sale. It's on like every platform. It goes on sale for super duper cheap, like under $2 kind of cheap, all the time. And just for the mouth noises alone, it is definitely worth it. Like, imagine Resident Evil with mouth noises. When you go to open the door, somebody like doing stuff like that. It's just so fucking weird. I loved it though. Oh, and Batman. We're still playing through. Oh fuck! And there was one other thing. God, I'm really bad at this tonight. We're continuing to play through Batman Arkham Asylum, the remastered version, because that game's fucking dope. Because we also tried out Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Because I was like, you know what? If there's going to be one game in the Assassin's Creed series, because I don't like that series very much, everybody else seems to love it. And it's part of the new like PlayStation Plus lineup. So oh fuck, there was another one too. It's part of the new PlayStation Plus lineup. Let's check out Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? Assassin's Creed has completely abandoned what their original mission statement was of like, we're trying to make realistic games, blah blah blah, whatever. This is fucking sword and sorcery bullshit. And it's awful. Oh my god, did I hate it. Maybe an hour into the game, and apart from the fact that the opening little cinematic, the child that eventually becomes the main character is left gender ambiguous to the point where when you go to create your character, you can pick male or female. I was like, that's kind of cool and progressive of Ubisoft. That's cool. I like that. And then for like the next 45 minutes, I was just walking and it was boring. I was, fuck, dude, this game, it's just not for me. I would really love for somebody, I don't know if we have a Discord user who is a big Assassin's Creed guy or gal, or anybody who's listening to the show, like, email us, like, tell me what do I not get about Assassin's Creed? Because, man, do I not get it. There's got to be something there. right?
I
that
mean,
game sells
it's
very well.
Not every game's for everyone. We don't really. I don't get Call of Duty. I don't get. I have tried, and I don't think I get Halo. Maybe I get it a little bit, but we don't get Grand Theft Auto.
But that's the thing. It's not that I don't get Grand Theft Auto. I just don't like Grand Theft Auto. I get it.
Assassin's
it's a well-made game.
Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed is legitimately. I don't understand what people are enjoying about this. It fucking baffles me. It baffles me. Because the only other game I played, and that reminded me of it too, because there's a free beta for it right now, I downloaded Multiverses. The Warner Brothers, Smash Brothers thing. And I wasn't expecting to love it, because I get Smash Brothers. I understand why people like it. I don't. That's okay. It's not for me, but I do understand what people like about it. This is not Smash Brothers, and it doesn't have this is a beta, to be fair, but man, I played through like 1 or 2 rounds. I was like, yep, I'm out. this is just not going to be for me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard about it. I mean, there was a lot of talk immediately of just like, oh my god, this is the Smash killer, this is so much better.
Nope.
Then like shortly after, I started seeing reports of like, this really makes me appreciate the attention to detail that Smash Brothers has.
Yeah, like
this isn't that.
It's wildly complicated for what it is. Like going through the tutorial mode, there were like certain specific team up moves that you could do, which like it's cool in theory, right? But like I'm Shaggy. And if Wonder Woman is on my team, or other certain characters, I suppose, Wonder Woman was the one in the tutorial, that have helper elements to their character moveset. Like, I could jump off of a cliff. Like, if somebody got knocked off of, like, the edge of the board, right? And they're kind of floating out there and they're trying to fly back onto the board. You could jump off and have Wonder Woman lasso you so that you could do a couple moves to the person who's trying to get back onto the stage and not worry about falling, because like Wonder Woman would pull you back up. So you could like jump without a care and not worry about falling to your death yourself. Which, like, that's a cool idea. But in the chaos of what a Smash Brothers style match is, I just don't see how there's time for that.
I'm sure it'll have its fans, and
I'm sure there are people that are going to love it. I know that Katie informed me, my daughter informed me, that people were very upset about the Iron Giant's inclusion into it, because they're like, he's a pacifist. I'm like, yeah, it's a fucking video game. It doesn't make any sense that Luigi's fighting either. Like, fucking get over it. It's weird. It's a weird hill to die on.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, that
this,
one
This makes as much sense as anything else.
I guess. It was like, I don't know, I haven't seen the Iron Giant in a long time. It just always seemed to be that the point of that was non-violence. And this is, like, kind of like a little extra strange, but, whatever.
A little bit, but, like, with the
again,
fervor...
it's a video game. You've got Arya Stark fighting Bugs fucking Bunny, so...
Yeah, like, come on. Like, it's a weird hill to die on. Like, if they made an Iron Giant game, and it was a Call of Duty-style shooter, okay. Now we can have a conversation about maybe misunderstanding your source material. But in a silly multi-character brawler, like, maybe get over yourself a little bit. I don't know. That's kind of how I felt about it. Anyway, I played it for like 25 minutes and went, yep, that still isn't for me. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it. I think that's... we watched a bunch of horror movies, too, this week.
Nice.
But, You don't want to hear about that. You don't like movies.
I don't. I hate movies.
Not even just horror movies.
My movie podcast is just me hating movies.
It's just you being like, I don't know why I even watched this. This one sucked. Just like the last letter. I don't like movies. My name's Kris.
They're trying to get me to watch more horror movies, but I'm sure it'll happen eventually. But
I mean, what horror movies have you even seen? Have you liked any horror movies?
I liked the first Saw. I thought that was really good. I mean, Army of Darkness and Evil Dead. I like Evil
Those
Dead
don't
2
really
a lot.
count.
I think Evil Dead 2 does. Army of Darkness doesn't. Army of Darkness is straight up comedy. Evil Dead 2 is like that halfway point between like Evil Dead 1. Evil Dead 1 I think counts as a horror movie. That's not goofy really.
Yeah.
And Evil Dead 2 is like, all right, the same thing, but with a little bit more silliness involved.
I mean, a little bit more? I hazard you haven't seen Evil Dead 2 in a while. Farewell to Arms, all the fucking shit laughing at him.
In comparison to Army of Darkness, which is just straight up goofball fest with a lot of blood.
Yeah, yeah. That's more of an adventure movie than it is a horror movie.
Yeah. Geez, I don't know. What else have I seen?
Did you see the Evil Dead remake?
No, I never got around to that one.
That was fucking great. Oh,
I just don't like horror movies, so I don't seek them out.
No, I know you don't. That's why I'm like, I'm not even sure what, like, I mean, I suggest that everybody watch this movie called As Above, So Below. It's a found footage style horror movie, which I don't really love a lot because I think they're really hard to do well. Like, first Blair Witch is like, okay, it's fine. I see what you were going for. This was kind of novel and cool, and then they were kind of shit after that. But this movie, As Above, So Below, takes place in France. They're searching for like the Philosopher's Stone in like the catacombs, underneath the like where all the people are buried, underneath the streets in France. Like, it's fucking cool. It's just a really, really, because it's not bloody scary or like gross out scary. It's just very intense. Like, the entire movie is just very tense, and it's very well done. So when you get around to A, suggest As Above, So Below. The movie's fucking great. Anyway.
Duly noted. I've seen Batman and Robin. That's definitely a horror movie.
It's a piece of shit, that's for sure.
I've seen a lot of movies that could technically be considered horror via Mystery Science Theater, but
I mean, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th.
I've never seen those.
Really? I just don't know how you missed them.
I don't know. Never at a friend's house when they were watching them. Never, I don't know.
I mean, I get like certain ones, like not everybody's seen Exorcist, because like that movie's a lot, but like, I don't know, it's just kind of weird that in 41 years, give or take, you've never stumbled across like a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Just like on a red, like, all right, I've seen that.
Yeah,
that's strange to me.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Today is not that day.
Today is indeed not that day. All right, I've babbled long enough. What have you been up to? It's so hot in my office, by the way. I don't want to be a complaining pants, but oh boy. Whew.
Well, let's see. I got a couple of questions. I wanted to clarify what I was talking about with my diet thing, because I got a couple of questions about that. And so I don't want to give the impression that I'm eating right or I'm dieting
or well.
I'm eating well, and that's where I landed on this thing. So like I used to, long time ago before I got married, I did Weight Watchers to get into shape. And that worked out really well because it was just about portion control. The whole philosophy behind it when I took it was just like, don't deny yourself from the shit that makes you happy. Just eat less of it, because if you eat too much of it, you'll gain weight. Like, it's just not healthy. It's about finding balance. Yeah. And that worked out great. And then I got married and I stayed fit for a number of years, and then I had kids. And, well...
And that shit goes out the window because it's like, the kid will only eat mac and cheese. What do you want from me? I'm not making 3 dinners.
That's... yeah, the stress of life got in the way. Then I've struggled going back and forth with, like, trying to go too far in the eating direction, and the conclusion that I've come to in life is that I just love food way too much to deny myself the things that I actually want. Food makes me happy.
Sure.
And it's a coping mechanism in a lot of ways, but also just, I fucking love eating. So what worked for me pretty recently was starting to do a regular exercise routine and just cutting out snacking. No more snacking. And only allowing myself a dessert, and that dessert is a glass of chocolate milk. Not chocolate milk and a cookie, just chocolate milk. 3 nights a week. And that was going really well. And then a whole bunch of shit in my life fell apart, and I was like, I can't do this right now. So threw everything in the fucking bucket, gained a bunch of weight, and just ate like a madman to cope with the ridiculous amounts of stress that I was going through.
Sure.
What I'm doing right now is just eating the meals that I wanted to eat, except, instead of 4 slices of pizza, I'll have 3. I don't do any snacking during the week. I have my glass of chocolate milk instead of a chocolate milk and a cookie or a chocolate milk and something else. I don't have late night food like cheese and crackers at 10:30 at night because I'm fucking hungry. I just cut all that stuff out, and then I have the weekends off. Weekends, I can eat whatever the fuck I want. I'll have ice cream on the weekends. And that's what this is. That's me eating better. I'm never going to be the person that only has salads or something like that. Like, if I...
because have you ever had a salad? Ugh.
I love fucking salads. Gross. Just not every day. Not all day. Love salads. But, rabbit. It's got to be like shit that's in season.
My food eats. Fuck out of here.
Thank you, Ron Swanson. No, I love me a good salad. I love several different kinds of salads, but like sometimes that'll be what I do for lunch for a week. I'll be like, I'm having salad this week because I fucking want it, and then the next week I'll be like, I'm having hot dogs for lunch this week because I fucking want hot dogs. Like,
yeah,
that's just the way my life's working. And adding exercise 5 days a week, again, weekends off. I don't exercise on the weekends. I just do whatever I need to do. Chores are enough exercise, and 5 days a week, my body needs 2 days off because I'm old and I've never been in shape, so there.
That's right.
But that's what my situation is. My whole situation is I want to have more energy. I'm not concerned about losing weight or being attractive. I'm married with children. I'm good. I just want to feel healthy and enjoy the things that I enjoy. So when I say I'm eating better, it's eating right. I'm not eating right. I'm not misbehaving or anything like that. I'm just eating less of the foods that I used to and exercising a whole lot more. And that is my routine. And I've started week 3 this morning, and fuck, Ring Fit hurt me today. What the fuck was it? It was this, I started off and I was like, all right, I could go to a couple of levels. Oh, but a new challenge at one of those game gyms opened up. And I was like, those things are usually pretty short and straightforward. This'll be fine. The first one absolutely fucking destroyed me because it was this conveyor belt challenge where I had to run at specific speeds to like collect coins and stuff. So like, how do I explain this? It's a side view it's like a side scroller, right? You on a conveyor belt looking at it like it's a side scroller thing, but it's a single screen. And you have to run, it's like sprint super fast to move slowly toward the end of the conveyor belt, and slow down to move backwards. And a series of coins and bombs come at you from the background. And you have to collect as many coins as you can and avoid the bombs. And that shit was so difficult to like work because it's like you can't just jog a little bit faster. You've got to be like moving full sprint, and you have to be doing the motions. And that's something that I like and hate about this game, because if you're not doing there is a focus on form, and if you're not doing it right, The game does a pretty good job of recognizing if you're not doing it right, as long as you're attempting to do it right. Like, you just look at it and be like, okay, it wants the Joy-Con to do this. If I just hold them both in my hands, I'm sure I could fake it. But what's the point?
Right. But
as long as
why?
I'm exactly, then why? As long as I am attempting to do them, if I'm even attempting the basic form, it's going to know if I'm doing it right or doing it wrong 90% of the time. And I love it for that because it helps me do the exercise properly, but some days I really hate it for that because holy shit, it demolished me today. And the heat doesn't help. I mean, even inside in the air conditioning, we don't keep it icebox cold in our house, and it just destroyed me. And I did a bunch of other stages, and then oh god, but I'm on it. Tomorrow's a Wii Fit and no dessert, but then Wednesday is back to Ring Fit. So I'm on week 3, and I'm still trucking. I'm still going through it. It's make yourself do it on the hard days. That's the important part. On the days you really don't want to do it, especially in the beginning, if I can make myself get through that. Because, like, I was on this stretch where I was running. When I worked at the tech center, I used to go running all the time, and I fucking loved it. I hated it at first, but then I got to the point where I was really enjoying it, and then my knees were like, the fuck you are.
How fucking dare you think you're enjoying this? You ain't doing this shit anymore.
My knees strongly disagreed with me being able to continue running, so bad times.
Well, and it's so interesting to me, like, as a dude who has always been chubby, like, my whole life, like, I've never been ripped or anything like that. I do know how to lose weight, and, like, there's all these, like, fads and secrets, and, like, the secret to burning fat and blah blah blah. Fucking burn more calories than you take in. That's it. There's literally nothing else you have to do. Now, how you get to that point is totally up to you, whether that's through, like, portion control and exercise, or through eating specific foods because you don't have willpower and, like, all of that stuff. The method to getting to the overall goal of calories in, calories out, is variable by person. But that's the trick. That's the secret. Like, you want to know how to lose weight? Write down how many calories you burned today. Write down how many calories you took in. If you took in more than you burned, well, you gained weight today. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like it's just not very hard. You know what I mean? Now, that being said, I fucking like cake. So, it's one of those things of, like, there comes a point where you then have to, like, make those responsible decisions, like you're saying, of if I burned, 1,000 calories today and I took in 1,200 calories, so, like, okay, 200 isn't that more, I can, go for a quick walk, I can do some push-ups, I can do some sit-ups, whatever. But if I took in 2,000 calories and I only burned 1,000, well, then you put on weight today, I don't know. That's it. That's the trick. You guys don't ever have to fucking buy another program. That's it. You're welcome.
And it's just a matter of how do you reconcile that with your life? How do you reconcile that with what actually works for you? And that's where I've repeatedly struggled as far as, like, well, yeah, if I'm just measuring calories in versus calories out, and then, like, I'm never going to be able to keep track of all of it mentally. And then eventually it's just like, no, fuck it. I'm going to concentrate on being happy and doing what I can. And I'm not going to focus on the numbers, because some people, if you focus on the numbers, that works out great for them. Focus on the numbers doesn't work out great for me. So there it is.
There it is.
So let's see. I have played a little bit more of Mega Turrican. Not much, because I've been focusing my efforts elsewhere. But I do like it. It's I am enjoying it more than Turrican 3, I think, for sure. So, so yeah, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get through Mega Turrican, and then I'm gonna get through Super Turrican 2, and then I can say I've played them all and be happy as a clam. But my main focus this week was, like I said, I got on to my Xbox and I put a bunch of time into Battletoads, which has been super fun. it's really cool. It's a weird little game. It kind of does. It flirts with the whole like doing a bunch of different things, but it also puts a primary focus on it being a brawler,
right?
Which I like a lot. I like that they put more, because that was the most fun thing about the original Battletoads, was the stages where you get to do the little combo attacks and it had a good combat system.
Yeah,
like that stuff was really fun, and it's got a really good sense of humor. But like the first stage is a whole beat 'em up thing, and then the second stage is like this weird, the whole thing was a dream, and they've been dreaming that they were like super awesome superheroes for a long time, but actually they've been like stuck in a cave for 20 some odd years since the original Battletoads came out, and just imagining this whole thing. So they all went off and got normal jobs, and like the second stage is you performing those jobs. Like one of them is a masseuse, and so you have to do massages with the analog sticks. And like not just for a couple seconds, you gotta do it for a while. And
you gotta massage a motherfucker.
What is it? One of them's typing. You have to like mash a bunch of buttons and then like hit the shoulder button to beat the side of your monitor to get it to work right. And I can't remember what the third one was. It's like mail sorting or something. But they all three of them have these mundane jobs.
Yeah,
and then it goes back. It's got a very silly, ridiculous fourth wall-y story.
I don't know, man. I would say that based on the documentary style massage videos that I've watched, it doesn't seem mundane or boring. It usually goes some pretty fun places.
Well, I'm hoping that comes back.
It's just very different than the mail sorting documentaries that I've watched. Those are always just boring.
So yeah, Battletoads is pretty good. It is a very enjoyable game, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. John,
I really wish they'd
me.
Put it on other systems.
Yeah, like I get that's never come to PlayStation. Xbox and PlayStation don't have that relationship, but this game, I cannot imagine why they didn't port this to Switch, because I don't think it performed very well on Xbox. Like, nobody was talking about it when it came out. I have no idea what its actual sales numbers were, but I just don't think this game did very much, and it seems like the kind of game that would have done really well on Switch. So
yeah, it didn't do a ton of like press and awards and shit like that.
No.
When awards, because that's really... I think for like a lot of games now, that's really the only thing we can judge it on, because when you look at things like Xbox Live or Games Pass or whatever, where so many things are just included with the service, it's very Netflix in that way of like, we're never going to truly know. We can't just look at a hard number and be like, this did X, right? So the judgment...
you could, because it's like, you could just... how many people downloaded it, but they don't release those numbers.
Right, they don't have to. That's what I'm saying. Like, as a general public, that's not information that we can just go find like we used to be able to for, a lot of shit. So really, you start looking at things like when it comes to award season, that particular year a game is released, is it making any, headlines? Is it nominated for anything? In as much as gaming awards are... whatever, we fucking do them, and they're as worthwhile as fucking Jeff Keighley's shit. So they really are. You know what I mean? Like they're based on as much fact as that. So
yeah, pretty much.
For whatever that's worth. But even that, I don't remember Battletoads getting a ton of mentions, which is a shame. It looked really cool. It's a franchise that, you're right, should be... It's a Nintendo it's not an Xbox property. It's just not. That's okay. Halo's not a fucking Nintendo property. Shouldn't be. They shouldn't port that. That would be weird.
I don't know. I'd like to see it.
No, because then they put like some weird Mario shit in there. You're like, oh, there's fucking Koopa Troopers in this level. Is there?
That would be hilarious. That shit was awesome in Metal Gear.
Mm-hmm. I mean, awesome.
Come on, the little Yoshi thing on top of Otacon's desk that you could shoot. Come on, that was great.
I mean, that was all right, but like, I'm just thinking like, I don't know, they do like some weird. They bring back like the fucking CGI models from not even CGI, just the fucking rubber suits from the Mario Brothers movie, and put them in as like grunts or some shit.
That would be amazing. Mario Brothers movie references and Halo shit.
Yeah, now that I just like said it out loud, that actually does sound really fucking dope.
All right, so Battletoads was a big win. I also downloaded 2 other games. The Disney Afternoon Collection was on sale for like $3. It's like, all right, fine. Fine. I should have this on something. Just go ahead. There, it's on my Xbox. And the other thing that I saw that was for $3 that I picked up was Strider.
Oh, the remake?
Yeah, the new one.
The 10 or 15-year-old remake at this point?
Oh, God, is it that old?
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, no.
It's like 10 years old.
Hold on. I got to find out how old this is. Strider. Jeez, this came out for everything.
Yeah, it's good.
2014.
Yeah, so 8 years.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it. I didn't finish it, obviously, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 2 hours in or something. I really like it. It's really good. I remember when they announced this thing and be like, come on, this isn't coming out for, I guess it would have been Wii U at that point, but this game's great. No, it's a really solid Strider. I haven't played. I mean, Strider 2 I loved, except for the fact that it had infinite everything, so there was really no way to lose at the game. So it was like, I think after a certain point, I was just like, well, now I'm just kind of going through the motions. It's really cool. I love this, but there's zero challenge because there's no consequences for anything.
Yeah.
But, Strider 2 on PS1 was great, and this is really freaking good, too. Geez, 2014, and, like, this was never followed up on.
Nope.
That's weird.
I don't think it did very well.
Which is a bummer, because it's really freaking cool.
It is. It's kind of in that weird, like, 2.5D kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it didn't... my biggest complaint with it... I can't even fucking talk anymore. My biggest complaint with it was that there wasn't anything that really set it apart from anything else. Like, playing through Strider feels like you're playing through Shadow Complex. Like, those games look the same, and there were just... And I'm not saying, like, go the route that Guacamelee went, like, because that would look weird for a Strider game, but maybe that would have looked really cool. I just, like...
Strider was a bit more colorful than Shadow Complex. When I think Shadow Complex, I think gray. And Strider, I thought, had some nice color to it, had some nice personality. It was a little bit more serious. It was more serious and less colorful than Strider 2. Strider 2 on PlayStation 1 was really close to being just absolutely amazing. Yeah. But
and I think that's really kind of what I would have preferred. Like, if they would have taken where they were headed with Strider 2 and gotten there.
Yeah. Really,
this
just
feels
take
like
away
a step.
The full invincibility or the zero consequence for death. But like that sort of animated look, I think works better for Strider than the somewhat realistic look, which is what they were going for here.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Like, when I say Shadow Complex, like, it looks like they were making a game that was based in reality when you're like a weird space ninja. Like, this should look like fucking Beautiful Joe. And maybe not that far, but...
Yeah, not that far. But, like, I'm looking at video of the Strider 2 for PS1, and, like, God, just this cleaned up would have been so freaking cool. Because John was asking me, like, well, what's the game like? Is it like Metroid? I'm like, it's not... I can't really think of anything it's totally like, because it's so fluid with its movement. Like,
it's not like Metroid.
But it's also not like Metroid.
But it's not like Metroid, yeah.
Yeah, it's a freaking Strider game, and that's fun. Like, having that ability to just tear through things with that unique weapon and kind of movement that Strider does, and Strider being such a cool-looking character to begin with, like, I don't know. I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I finally played it. And I'm definitely going to put some more time into it because that's not a Game Pass one. That's just one I bought.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
cool.
real. And like, I'm not saying that it's a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. There's just
It's really
I feel like maybe
good.
it didn't get as much love as it should have because there was just like just a little bit left of where it should have been.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It's been so long since I've played Strider 2 on PlayStation, and I'm looking at this video and being like, damn, this game looks good.
Yeah,
like,
it's a good fucking game.
The color in this is like really making me think about the Strider game that I'm playing and be like, yeah, it really is a little less full of personality than Strider should be. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so
a little
freaking cool looking.
It's a little too serious.
Yeah.
It's a little too serious. Yeah.
The Mario Kart 8 DLC. I freaking love it.
That's awesome.
They made the cars in Coconut Mall spin around now, which is awesome. They don't just move back and forth. They pull out and then do donuts in the middle of the road, which makes them even more of a hazard. And I think all the new courses are great. There's two things that are really weirding me out. The new course, this ice cream sundae course.
Mm-hmm.
I've played all the courses like exactly once because that's all we've really had time for.
Yeah.
I thought the ice cream course was really freaking cool. Like the whole time playing it, I'm smiling and I'm like, oh, I missed the turn. This is really cool. And then I went online and everyone's hating on the new ice cream course, and not like out of like. Everyone's saying like, "Oh, this was so much better than Wave 1." Overall, the discourse around DLC Pack 2 is like really positive. So it's not like people just bitching for the sake of bitching. People genuinely don't like that course, and it's not just like randos on the internet. It's like in reviews and stuff too. Like everyone's complaining about that course. Like, what am I missing? Like I haven't read any of the reviews yet. I'm like, maybe I don't want to read them because I really thought that was a cool course. What am I missing here? The other one that everyone's complaining about is Mario Circuit 3. And, like, I get that, but I grew up on the Super Mario Kart. Like, I was there for the original one, so I don't give a shit that it's a boring course that's all flat. That's what I want.
That's what it was. That's what we're doing.
I am 100% into this. And do I wish it looked as good as, what was it, Donut Plains? Donut Plains looks amazing in Mario Kart 8. This is pretty much just like a slightly fancier version of the Super Nintendo one. It's very stylistically in line with the original, and like, I don't care. It's great. I was smiling ear to ear the whole time I'm racing on it. So, fuck them. The new DLC courses are great. I think they're all in all, they're way more fun than the stuff that was in the Booster Course 1, which I really enjoyed that too. But these ones are like every single course. Like with the Sydney, Australia course is really freaking good. And that New York Minute course is really good too. Like, I'm so glad those tour courses are coming to a console because I don't want to play them on my fucking phone. Mario Kart 8 stuff, really, really good. I spent a whole bunch of time this weekend on... I got 2 bookshelves, like the cheapo bookshelves from Target, to restructure my my game console overstock, which is quite ridiculous. Seeing it, so when I set up my my space down here in the basement a while back, I put these a bunch of bins of stuff that I knew I was never really going to want to get to, like stuffed them way in the corner. And then I put these like big thick garage shelves in front of them that I kept all of my excess game consoles on. And I have to get to them more often than I expected, like for work. Like I frequently have to go in and out and like, oh, I would need to look at this colored N64 to try to match it up with something else, or I need to use a different version of the Sega Saturn than the one that I have hooked up, or something like that. Or the various handhelds I have to get to, and like they were all kind of stacked precariously at a certain point. Like because games consoles don't stack super well. especially stuff with kind of rounded tops and everything. So
Yeah.
I needed to come up with a different solution, and I decided that bookshelves would be a better idea, so I could line them up like books. And the space in the closet was so perfectly sized for 2 of those Target bookshelves, it's kind of ridiculous. So I bought them, and then I took out those bins that were in the corner and kind of went through all of the game systems I have. And similar to the game stuff that I've been trying to sell lately, I think it's time for me to get rid of some of my excess consoles. I have
a lot.
I have 4 Intellivisions, and I have no idea where 2 of them came from. None at all. I didn't even know I had them, because I knew I had 2 that I got way back when I worked at Funko Lands. I got one at a trade show at the Philly Classic, and that was the original one. And then in the second one, somebody tried to trade in a Telegames version of the Intellivision, which is just I love console variants like that. That shit's amazing. I knew about those 2, and those I want to keep. But I have 2 more regular Intellivisions, and absolutely no idea where they came from. Just none whatsoever. That's weird.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Genesis consoles. I have like 4 Sega CD2s. And like, I know where those came from. Those were from my Funko Land days. I think all of them were, because we didn't take those in trade. I still have my 1032Xs I'm never getting rid of. I have a stack of 1032X systems all plugged into each other, because that's just hilarious to me. But the CD systems, the Sega CDs, like, there's a demand for those, and I'm pretty sure they all work. So I should probably get rid of some of them. Like, I only need 1 of each. I say need, like I actually need.
Need is a bit strong.
Yeah, need is very strong. But like, just for my own psychosis, I'll keep a Sega CD1 and a Sega CD2, and then I should probably sell the rest of them.
For sure. Yeah.
I have way too many game consoles, is what it comes down to. And some of the weirder stuff, like all my random Pong clones, are all boxed up in the attic still, because I have nowhere to put them. And like, well, if I get rid of 3 of my 6 Nintendo Entertainment Systems, then that'll free up a little bit of space. So that was fun. But I really, really love the way it came out. That closet is so much more usable now, and that brings me joy.
I mean, you might want to take those Nintendo consoles and like look into customizing them, or like cleaning them up, and doing some different, like, I don't know, just try like an art project with them. You know what I mean? Like, just fuck around with them, because you could, or you could sell them.
I feel like I'd rather sell them, because 1, I could use the money, and 2, I would really like them to go to a home where they'll get used.
That's fair.
That's kind of what I really want out of them. The other thing I'm definitely selling is I actually have somebody on Facebook that's interested in it. I have no idea what to price them at. Is my massive Commodore collection. I have a massive boxed Commodore collection that when I worked at Toys R Us years and years and years ago, somebody who worked there was like, I know you like video games. I was going to get rid of this stuff. Do you want it? And I was like, I mean, I've never been a computer guy, but it seems silly of me to turn this down. And it's a ton of stuff, and most of it is complete in box. At a Commodore 64 with a disk drive and a monitor, and a Commodore 128 with a disk drive, no monitor. And I don't know how much this stuff goes for, because it's not in price charting. Like, some of it is, but most of it isn't. Like, the vast majority of what I have is just not on price charting. So trying to figure out what's a reasonable price for all this stuff, especially because I don't know if the units themselves actually work. I assume the games do. They've been maintained in a climate controlled environment ever since I got them, because they're like floppy disks and stuff. But like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, the NES one that we're working on next for the summer series, like, I have that for Commodore, complete in the box, and that one I found on eBay for like $200 some odd. So like,
yeah, I'm looking right now, sold August 7th, the Commodore C128 personal computer as is. It doesn't have a monitor, it just looks like the keyboard, and like, I don't know what I'm looking at. But that went for $127.50 plus 22 shipping. One sold yesterday for $98 plus 60 shipping. So about the same price. So you're looking at like $150 including shipping for that. Now, if you're selling it to somebody, this is a boxed one with box and power supply tested and working. $300 plus $15 shipping.
Yeah, I don't have any boxes for the units themselves, just for the games.
Yeah,
the units themselves I've been able to find information on. It's the games that are like these weird, like 3-in-1 goofball collection or something like that. Like some of the bigger named ones like Bard's Tale and stuff, I can find info on that. But like, there's so much there.
Really, the best way to go about, or like what I think is the most fair, and take it for whatever that's worth, is just finding what people are paying on eBay. Just
that's
eBay
the thing.
sold, and if you can't find it sold,
I can't find them at all. I'm talking like I have like 80 games, and I found the big name ones. Most of the weird shit I can't even find previous listings for. Like I have no proper resource to figure out even where to begin to price some of this stuff, because a lot of it's just never even been on eBay, or at least not within the last couple of years to even find completed listings for.
Yeah.
That's the trouble I'm running into. Like the system not working, I can figure that shit out. The bigger name stuff on Commodore, I can figure that shit out. It's the weirdo stuff. That's where I'm running into the problem on. But I'll just kind of eyeball it and throw a number at this guy and see what he's interested in. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like $10 a game for like weirdo
but
shit.
That's just it. Maybe $10 a game, but then that Ninja Turtles one was like $200. So,
well, yeah, but that's the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that's the Ninja Turtles one, but I don't know if there's other important Commodore games out there that I don't know about. So I'm gonna try and root through all of them and get some sort of pricing on everything. But it's gonna take a lot of time. But
I don't know. We got to know somebody, or Ryan has to know somebody who is like a fucking Commodore person.
I'll keep looking.
Yeah.
If we know anybody who knows a lot about the pricing of Commodore stuff, please, send me an email.
I don't know. We'll do some research while we're at Long Island RetroCon this weekend. Do some reconnaissance.
The only other thing. All right, so I got two more. One, I talked about crab sandwiches.
Can you guys tell we don't have a lot to say about Contra Hardcore?
Yeah, not a ton. It's fine. Everything's fine. I had those crab sandwiches last week.
Oh, yeah.
I had a whole lot of crab left over, and I made a crab pizza.
Oh, shit.
I made a garlic parmesan sauce and covered the whole goddamn thing with crab meat and fresh tomato and mozzarella cheese. Grilled it. It was fucking astounding. It was so good.
Crab is amazing.
Sprinkled a little Old Bay on top of the slices when I was done. Oh my god, it was so
it's a delicious sea bug.
Oh, so good.
It's a delicious sea spider. I love it.
All right, quick MCU talk. All right,
okay.
We're not gonna drone on for an hour. Couple of things.
Yes, we are.
Thing
Don't
number
fucking
one.
Threaten me.
I just finished Agent Carter season 2, so now I'm done all of Agent Carter. It does not contradict MCU, which I thought after season 1 it might, but because at the end of season 1, what's officially canon in the MCU, according to any reports that make any sense, that has been commented as this is officially the Agent Carter that's in the MCU, is the short. That's it.
Right.
The show is nebulous. Might be, might not be. The fact that the actor who played Jarvis showed up in Endgame, that could be just a throwaway Easter egg, however you want to look at it. After having watched it, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. takes a ton of mental gymnastics to fit into the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to explain away some shit to make
it just doesn't work.
Sense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work, and that's fine. I thought it was a great show. I'm glad I watched it. There's just no way that show is officially MCU canon anymore. Agent Carter, though, at the end of season 1, she's like in the New York SSR office. She's earned everybody's respect. She's getting like applause and stuff. There's no way that jives with the short where she's working under a different boss. Yeah, and has to go on a mission and nobody respects her again. Doesn't jive. So season 2, I hadn't watched since it aired. She goes out to Los Angeles and does a whole crazy zero matter sci-fi mission shit out there. But at the end of the season, and this is what I was really itching for, I was like, how does this wrap up? And can I make it connect to the short? And does it contradict anything else? Because like Agent Carter does some like fun Easter eggy things. Like you see Ivan Vanko, like he's just working at Stark Industries because it's a connection. It's neat. Well, the mentions of Roxxon and stuff that shows up in the movies and whatnot. It's cool stuff. And even the tangential connection to the Black Widow program with the what's her Dottie Underwood. Yeah, that was neat stuff. The end of Agent Carter is the end of season 2. She decides to stay in Los Angeles, but as extending her vacation. She decides to try and get with this Sousa guy, but again, she's not moving out to LA. It's explicitly said that she's staying for an extended vacation. The other bit was like this other guy, Jack Thompson, was now the head of the SSR in New York. But dude gets murdered at the very end of the show, which was like kind of an open-ended thing, like who killed him? Now it's like, well, we'll never get the answer to that, but it's okay. Because if he's dead, then that means that the Agent Carter the short starts with the phrase 1 year later. Now it's after a bunch of flashbacks to Captain America. So if you just skip that opening, or even don't skip it and just assume that the 1 year later means 1 year later after the end of season 2, which was absolutely not the way it was written, but if you pretend that that's the case, then it totally makes sense that since Jack Thompson was murdered, this other guy, Bradley Whitford's character, takes over the SSR in New York because they have to find somebody else to fill that position, and then he fills the office with his guys instead of the people that were there before, and he's a misogynist asshole who doesn't like Peggy Carter. She says it's been 3 months. And that could obviously is referring to it's been 3 months since she started there, but it could make it just as much sense that it's been 3 months since she came back from Los Angeles and she had to break up with Sousa because she wasn't going to move out to LA. Her home's in New York. And so she's kind of hung back up on Steve because she's back in New York. Right. It makes sense. It doesn't take much mental gymnastics to make it make sense. And I think it does more good than harm. The only problem I really have with it is how much it breaks up the tempo of watching all this stuff. Because it's like, it's movie, 2 seasons of TV.
Which is quite a lot.
It is a lot. It's 8 episodes season 1, 10 episodes season 2, and they're all hour episodes. 45 minutes or whatever. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a whole lot of stuff for stuff that's only tangentially helpful to the rest of the MCU. Like most of those characters you never see again. It's really all about lending more to the character of Agent Carter and Howard Stark. And that stuff only kind of comes up in the rest of the MCU movies. So it's like, it's a wonderful show. And I think it makes sense that it all happens, but it's like, it's a side story at best. So that's my overall review of that. If you really, the best way to do it, not the best, but you could just watch the short and then move on with your life. Like, that makes sense. But having her gone on all these adventures with Howard Stark, besides just the one that they went on together in Captain America First Avenger, that lends a lot more to Howard calling her up at the SSR and being like, tell her that she's going to come run S.H.I.E.L.D. with me. Like, it
gives a reason to it.
Exactly. It gives it
for
more
that phone
reason
call.
than just Howard saying that on a lark. It makes it it really shows you that she earned that position of running S.H.I.E.L.D. and there's a kind of interesting way of looking at it, like she did all this growth only to wind up back in New York on pretty much right where she started after Captain America, which was like a huge bummer. but then only for her to be immediately pulled out of it and then start S.H.I.E.L.D. and then everything else makes sense. And like, I'll watch Haley Atwell all day, every day. So
yeah, no, she's real good.
Yeah, she's wonderful, and that show's wonderful, and that's my feelings on that. Now, you wanted to talk about Giancarlo Esposito.
I did. No, we don't have to. It's a whole long thing. I'm excited that he is going to be in the MCU at some point. He's had meetings with Marvel, and I would just like to see him not play a bad guy. He's really good at playing a bad guy, but I would like to see if he can do something else, and I think he would be a really interesting Professor X.
Yeah, that was the thing that I saw that I thought was interesting, was him talking about Professor X, and I think I mentioned in the Discord, I've never seen him play a character who is kind.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of Professor X, is I know, like, in current X-Men comics, which I have not read and have felt extremely out of touch with for a number of years.
Sure.
Yeah, they're just not for me anymore. But the Professor X from when I was a kid was obviously flawed, always flawed, but also like just a very kind person, and that's the version I'd like to see in, you know, whenever they do the MCU, is some sort of kind version of Professor X. I'd like to see a more classic take on the X-Men than the current take on the X-Men, which is, I don't get it, but it's very complicated, and there's no easy way to get in.
Very complicated.
They're all living on in Krakoa, and apparently everyone is sleeping with everyone at all times. I don't know. What Tiff and I were talking about it, and what I think is going to be really interesting for them to do when they do bring the X-Men proper into the MCU is that it almost feels like they have to skew a lot younger with Charles and Eric, because if you have this incredibly powerful telepath, you know, who's been out here this whole time, like, where were you? Kind of a lot of shit's happened. You know, you couldn't like pop up and be like, hey guys, maybe I could help. You know what I mean? Like, so it almost makes sense to where the blip or some sort of event causes, like the way that they kind of explained it, you know, spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched Miss Marvel at this point, but that show's been done for over a month, so I feel like we're good. With her being a mutant, and her mutant powers having been awoken by the bangle that she puts on, it kind of makes sense for Charles and Eric to be much, much younger characters than how they've typically been presented. It just doesn't make sense in today's climate, politically, socially, anything at all, for Charles Xavier to be an old, rich white man. That just doesn't... That level of, like, what Stanley was doing back in the day was, you know, subversively talking about race relations. And he was able to do that by presenting all white characters, you know, being the outcasts of society. And look, now you know what it feels like, blah, blah, blah. That's just not the world that we live in anymore. And it just makes absolutely zero sense for Charles Xavier to be an old rich white man. It also makes absolutely zero sense for an old rich white man to talk to, if somebody like Giancarlo Esposito, right? The running theory is that he is in talks to play Magneto. Fine. It makes even less sense at that point for Charles Xavier to be an old white man, because the old white man is going to tell the person of color what it feels like to be ostracized. That's not going to play well. So you've got to start, like, thinking outside of it. And Tiff actually brought up, wouldn't it be interesting if an event, like, thinking about the timeline and how old these characters would be, if you go back to, like, the Reagan 80s and the just absolutely abhorrent
things that administration did to inner cities across the country, what if Magneto and or Charles came out of that situation? Like, that is what awoken their powers, like, was the trauma that they experienced in those sorts of situations. Like, there's a lot of really interesting ways for them to go, and I'm really curious to see what they do.
As am I.
I really, as long as we get Taron Egerton as Wolverine, I think we'll be okay. I think that guy is perfect for Wolverine. Or Sabretooth and Daniel Radcliffe can be Wolverine. I think both of those would be great. Fuck you. Daniel Radcliffe would be an amazing Wolverine. For real. I think he would be great. I think Zolo Motoria, is that the kid who plays in Cobra Kai? Yeah. I think he would be an outstanding Iceman. Been thinking about this a lot. I think the girl Nancy from Stranger Things, I think she would be an excellent Rogue. Okay. These are the people I would cast. I would cast Steve to play Gambit. Fuck it.
They're Gambit and Rogue.
And I would cast Finn Wolfhard to play Toad. not because he's a weird looking dude, but he's kind of gangly and spindly, and I think he could like really pull that off. Anyway.
All right, well, I don't agree with any of that, but but it is time for us to move on. I promised we wouldn't spend much time on the MCU, but it has been. I'm glad that Carter is done for me. Now I can get right back to the movies, and it's going to be until Phase 4 until I get to any more. WandaVision's going to be the next TV series that I have to get through. So back onto the movies, and I'm pretty excited about that. But it was really nice to rewatch Agent Carter. It's a wonderful show. But we are going to take ourselves a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about Contra Hardcore for Sega Genesis. Yep. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com. The Long Island Retro Game Expo is coming. The convention runs from August 12th through 14th at the Cradle of Aviation Museum in Garden City, New York.
There's going to be all manner of arcade machines, vendors selling various wares, pinball tables, a museum full of gaming oddities, and of course, panels with guest speakers.
And who are those guest speakers, you ask? Well, you can expect... You should have. Jerk. You can expect to see the likes of Retronauts Jeremy Parrish, Pat Meehan from the CU podcast, Jared Petty from Limited Run Games, authors Brett Weiss, Leonard Herman, not D. Hermond, Leonard Herman. Sorry, Leonard. And you guessed it, us.
That's right. Kris and I will be hosting a panel on Sunday, August 14th at 2:30 p.m., where we will be ranking the best and worst publishers for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And if you're in the audience, you can help.
Will Konami or Capcom be able to topple the mighty Nintendo? Will Wisdom Tree outstink LJN? There's one way to find out, and that's to come out and join us at Long Island Retro on Sunday, August 14th at the Cradle of Aviation Museum in Garden City, New York. See you there. Our friends over at Trog Tech have recently launched a Kickstarter campaign to create new Nintendo 64 console shells, and they need your help to make them a reality. Called the New Funtastic Series, they're looking to create shells in new colors never produced before, like Extreme Green and Atomic Purple to match the officially licensed controllers, Spice to match the orange GameCube, and a whole slew of others that match the original prototype shells, and even some colors that they came up with themselves. The shells have also been modified slightly to make the cartridge slot reach and free, and adding an easy to cut area in the back to make things like HDMI mods easier to do. If the Kickstarter campaign is successful, Stone Age Gamer will be an official US distributor, which is why we're talking about it here on this very podcast. If you'd like to see what this is all about, just search New Funtastic Series on Kickstarter or follow the link in the show notes. Check it out.
All right, so here's where I got to work in the joke. All right, because I didn't use the I had a joke earlier. I don't know why I fucking do this every week, but I figured I'd work it in here, and then like Evan can put it at the end of the episode maybe if he wants to, or leave it here. Instead of commercials, you get a joke. Penn came down today, and she was like, "Tell me like some dark, awful jokes that you know," and I was like, "Well, I can't tell you most of them." Because most of them are just way too offensive for a 13-year-old. So, but here's one that I think is maybe palatable for a 13-year-old, and I'll go with that. I said, so, I had a girlfriend in college, and while we were together in college, her dog died, right? Which was very, very sad. She was very, very sad about it. So I thought I would be, super sweet, and I would replace the dog for her. I would surprise her with it. So I went to the pet store, and I found the exact same dog, right? And I brought it home, and I gave it to her, and she got really mad at me. And I was like, well, what's your problem? Like, why are you upset? And she was like, well, what the fuck am I going to do with 2 dead dogs now?
Wow.
And Penn's reaction was like, oh my god, you murdered her dog? And I was like, no, it's a joke, first of all. Second of all, that's the point of it. You said something weird and dark, so that's what I got.
In fact, weird and dark. Well done.
What am I going to do with 2 dead dogs? That's funny.
She still had the dead one?
Yeah, no, don't question it. Don't think about it too hard.
All right, everybody, we are back, and we are ready to talk about Contra Hardcore for the Sega Genesis. We tried to beat this game live on stream a few years back, and
it did not go well.
It did not go well for a number of reasons. One of which was that this game is, in fact, rather difficult.
And not very well made.
Yeah, that was really... that's really what it boiled down to. I've always been interested in this game. This Konami stuff on Genesis was really fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it was like this weird alternate dimension stuff. Like, Rocket Knight Adventures was 100% Konami. But it was also such a Genesis game. It was weird. But they did a Castlevania and a Contra that were so strictly Nintendo things before this, and both of those games are such weird outliers in their respective series. And for some people, this game, Contra Hardcore, is a goddamn masterpiece. It's the best Contra ever, and I just don't think it's very good. I think it does some neat things.
Yeah. I understand more after playing all the way through it. And I
now,
only
when you say
played...
all the way through it, did you get like all the endings and play as the different characters and stuff? Yeah, me neither.
No, because as I was playing through it, so I bought the Contra collection. That's how I played through this. So I didn't play with a rewind feature. I played with save states.
Yeah.
Which is much more annoying.
Way
than
more
a rewind
annoying.
feature. But I wanted an excuse to buy the Contra collection. Right? Like I was just really looking for a reason to pick that up. And this was as good as any, because the rest of the games on there are so good.
Except Super C, the arcade game. That game's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, well, yeah. But my overall feeling when playing through this game was like, okay, I see, like, there's some interesting ideas here. The multiple characters with the different types of weapons, like, that's pretty cool. The different paths that you can take, all of that's pretty cool. I just really want this to be over.
Yeah,
I'm not really having a good time with this because it's not very fair. It's not very fun. In the game design aspect of it, like the
fair is 100% what I'm talking about. Where you say that it's not very fair. That is
just
exactly.
not fair.
It's not. There are a lot of times where you'll be fighting, and this is where I was so happy to have the rewind button, because you'd be fighting a boss and be like, "There's no time to react." It's just like, and now I'm doing this, and you're dead. It's like, okay, well, there's no way I could have predicted this. The point is, get there, die, get there, remember it, and try it again. And it's that kind of pattern recognition that's like, usually there's some kind of tell where it's like, I can figure out how this is going to work, or there's some sort of way for me to properly react to it. Or this will be like, well, this is this weird stick thing, and now it's just going to flip down at you. It's like,
yeah.
What? There's no nothing. It's just like, no, this is what it's doing now, and it's just going to do this weird thing, and all of a sudden, if you're not standing in the right place, if you didn't anticipate this thing that's not being projected in any way, then you're dead. And it all seems like a very cheap way of making you replay it over and over again. And I don't find that fun, and I was so angry about it that I kept switching back to Contra 3 to be like, am I misremembering what Contra's supposed to be? And fucking no, I'm not. Contra 3 is still a goddamn masterpiece. And I go back to this one, and it's just hitting me with these weird, cheap deaths. And I digress. Continue.
It's balanced very much like an arcade game. It's balanced very much like a quarter muncher. Yeah. In the unfairness of it, because you're absolutely right. There are patterns that the bosses do, but then they just completely change the pattern, and that's really just it. Like, completely out of nowhere, with no tell, with no flash, no little twitching of the feetsies. Like, there one in particular, when you're getting closer towards the end of the game, the like 3 metal pieces come out. It's like right after you've been on the water, and like these 3 metal pieces come out. Maybe you didn't get this part when you played through it.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
But they fuse together, and there's 3 different stages to it, and they do different attacks. But at the end of the first attack, and this is a giant like metal fucking robot, right? At the end of the first attack, without any warning, the thing goes off screen and then flies back in and hits you in a way that I'm sure you can jump over, but if you don't know that it's coming and haven't practiced the jump, because the hitboxes are very questionable a lot of times in this game as well. If you haven't practiced it over and over and over again, like you're going to die there. You're just, if you're playing the American version, you're going to die there. If you're playing the Japanese version, which I don't know if you did that, you get 3 hits per life.
Oh, see, I knew there was a difference, but I played it with the rewind feature from the North American version. I could have played the Japanese one too, because I have the Japanese Mega Drive thing. Yeah, I didn't even bother with it.
The Japanese version makes way more sense for the game that is there, because you don't die instantly. You can take a hit and not lose your weapon, and not, you know what I mean, and not, or just not get cheap death after cheap death. You can take a hit or two and be like, all right, I'm still kind of okay, and I can make my way through this. Now the pattern has changed. I've seen it. I've taken a hit, okay, and I can move on. But we're talking about the North American version because that's the one that we tried to play through in the Petathon. And I can definitely respect the skill that people have for completing this game like a no-hit run. That's pretty fucking incredible. But it's also, in my opinion, not a very fun game. It's just not very well balanced. The weapons feel wildly out of proportion with each other.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really care for. And there are... Maybe I'm just getting old, Kris. And that's certainly possible. But there's too much shit on the fucking screen. Like... And I like bullet hell shooters and that sort of thing. But there's there are far too many... Even you take that very, very first level in the game, which is the same for everybody, doesn't matter the character that you pick. After your truck comes barreling down the street, right? as you're shooting the robots and whatnot, and they're shooting back at you, when you hit the robots and they explode into just a cacophony of flames, those flames are then blocking projectiles that are coming at you from enemies that you also might not see because of the explosion. Like, it's just not fun. You know, like, that's not good. I don't care for this. I shouldn't die in a video game, no matter what the game is, 30 seconds into the first level. That should just never, ever happen. If it does, you're not doing a good job of introducing your player to what your game is going to be like. Unless you're going for like a masochistic kind of feeling, which I feel is what they did with the American version of this game.
I agree with you to an extent. I think it's also very easy to die within the first 30 seconds of Contra 3: The Alien Wars. But in that respect, it's in the first level, it's teaching you, because that game also has bombastic explosions, but not to the degree that this one does. That one is, that first level, you die really quickly, and that's the game's way of teaching you, you're going to need to pay very close attention to what you're doing.
Sure.
Like, you need to look out for this stuff, but there's enough contrast between the enemy bullets and the explosions where you can actually, react to these kinds of things. Like, oh, okay, this is the kind of game I'm playing. All right, now I know more what to pay attention to. And hardcore doesn't really do that all that well. Or at all. I just think it's, the game developers seemed very, very, very excited about what they could do with the Genesis. Mm-hmm. Like, the special effects in this game are just all over the place, and they are very, like, you fought the hacker dude, and like he turned into a bunch of squares, and it's like, I get, like, Konami did a similar stuff on the Super Nintendo with Mode 7, but I think even that stuff is reserved compared to the kind of crazy shit they were doing in this game, like, all the time. Like, look at this kind of weird animation we can do. Like, all right, so we can make this neat insect monster that's made of all these sticks, and now there's two of them, and now they're dancing on top of each other, and it's all wacky and moving really fast and unpredictable, but isn't it cool looking? And, like, they didn't seem to do a very good job of balancing cool looking with fun to play. Yeah. And that's kind of that's kind of a big problem. My other real issue with this was the tone of the game in its entirety. Like, we've now had Contra, Super Contra, and Contra 3: The Alien Wars, and Operation C at this point. And they've all had a similar tone, which is ridiculous, but not goofy.
Yeah, serious.
This game completely missed the mark. Like, I love how completely fucking ridiculous Contra is. It doesn't take itself seriously, but it is serious about it, Like,
yeah.
In Contra 3, you're fucking riding missiles through the air. Like, it's completely bonkers. Like, this is not a serious thing. It's just, but it strikes a serious tone. And this one's just like, nah, there's a fucking wolf with sunglasses, and, like, this dude's gonna be, like, berating you, and this guy is called, like, El Stupador or something like that, and they've all got these stupid fucking names, and it's so goofy. And so it's not like fun, bombastic goofy. It's like, it's just fucking goofy. And I don't really like the tone all that much. And it got way worse for Contra Rogue Core, but, like,
yeah,
I didn't get that. Like, I understood I liked the idea of the different characters having different abilities. I like it the other way better, like Contra 4's way of, like, every character has the same basic function, and then the two characters, the two players work together, and you can get different weapons, and you can approach your own differences differently, instead of it just being like, nah, this one has the option of these 4 weapons, and, like, okay, but, like, what if everyone wants to get a spread gun? Like, that's Contra, and that's not this. And I appreciate not every game has to be the same. I totally appreciate that this one
of course
tried to do something different, but I don't think it necessarily worked as well, and I just didn't think it was all that fun.
Yeah, I don't love it. I'm happy I played through it.
Yeah, me too. I think the slide move was a really cool addition.
I forgot about that slide move all the time.
Once
I was constantly like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be doing this. God damn it.
I'd get to a boss and be like confused for a minute and be like, what the fuck am I supposed to write? Slide. And then I'd just be sliding through different things and getting the hang of it. And I liked that a lot. I thought that was a neat addition to having a proper dodge move in a Contra game. But you're right. You can so tell that this was designed to be a game where you can take multiple hits. And
yeah, it's so much better. And I'm gonna play through it again, because I only played through a little bit of the Japanese version when I was done, because I was so angry that I went back and played through the first one again, because I love the first Contra so much. I love Contra 3: The Alien Wars as well. It's probably the best in the series, but I just wanted that like nostalgic hit, and I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. I'm putting in the Konami code, which still works on the PlayStation as well. It's just X Circle instead of BA. And like played through that, was like, fuck, like I just love this. But I am going to go back and play through this game through the Japanese version, because the story is so fucking nonsensical. It doesn't matter that I can't read the kanji. And I really want to see how the entirety of this game works with the 3-hit life bar. Really
I'd be interested in that too. I'm not sure that I want to take the time to do it, but I would be interested in that too.
Because it makes it a completely different game.
It does make it a completely different feeling game for sure. After I finished it, I went right back to Contra 3, and it's like, God, this is so much better. And like, I know there are people who think that's complete sacrilege. Like,
yeah.
No, you're comparing Hardcore to Contra 3. Hardcore is just a better game all around. I think that is patently false. Like, and I'm not even trying to look at it from just my opinion. I mean, like, I just think from a pure design perspective, I think that's just incorrect. But everybody's entitled to their opinions. I just don't get that one at all. I don't get this game. I don't like its tone. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's fun. I don't like that there's a dog character. I guess the robot's okay, but I don't know.
I do think that this should be our next rank.
Right, we haven't done that yet, have we?
We should rank the Contra games.
Yeah. That would be a good idea. Boy, There's newer Contra games, like Neo Contra. I don't even remember Neo Contra.
I don't either. And I've spent so little time with Contra 4. This is a DS game. But it's great.
But I spent a metric ton of time with Contra 4. Because everybody at my store was playing it too. It's really freaking good.
Yeah. I think that should be next on our list.
Cool. All right. I think it's time to wrap this shit up.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Sorry, Contra 4. Hardcore. Dan and I just don't like you.
It's just not for us.
Yeah. It's just
or maybe the
us.
Japanese one is. I don't know. I could come back next week and be like, this game's fucking amazing. I don't know what I was talking about.
Well, let me know. I'm probably not. I'm just going to keep playing through Turrican and Battletoads. That's where my focus is going to be.
That's fair.
All right, well, that is our show. Join us next week. Literally, Dan and I will be at Long Island Retro, and we're going to be there doing a panel where we'll be ranking every NES publisher, and we're doing it live. So if you're going to be Long Island Retro, come join us. Come participate in all that business. Otherwise, we will be recording it, and you can listen to it when it goes live on regular schedule, theoretically. Hopefully nothing goes wrong, because I think this is going to be a fun conversation. But I guess it's only one way to find out. Anyways, we're on most social media platforms. If you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, the Geekade Patreon, which helps us keep this show running week after week, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making this show listenable for all you folks, and we'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. Thanks again, everybody. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.